Welcome to the 100th Monkey Radio Show with Tom and Ramon. If this is your first time listening to our show, please lay back, grab some, I was going to say Kool-Aid, but that stuff is no good. Grab some real juice.
When somebody says Kool-Aid, Ramon, it brings up really bad images in my mind for some reason.
Oh, God.
Jim.
Don't drink the Kool-Aid.
You can listen to us on Facebook. Let's see, Tom's YouTube. Where else? Podbean,
Vimeo, iTunes, and any other.
iTunes been having some issues, but. So what's new with you, Tom?
Oh man, what a day! I just had one of those, energetically draining days. Besides, I think aren't we coming up on a full moon? We're recording this on February 11th, I believe. Is it tomorrow, full moon, I think? Anyway.
It's today for me.
Anyways, yeah. I don't know. I'm sure that has something to do with it, too. But it's been an interesting day. Let's put it that way. So I can feel a lot of movement. If that makes any sense. Energetic movement. So...
If that makes sense.
I've felt for a while here that this year was going to be spectacular as far as what we're going to see start to manifest here. So I'm always curious and interested in watching that energy flow. So anything in the news there, Mr. Ramon?
Yeah, I'm just pulling it up as you speak. There's a few things. I just want to re-mention, did I mention the hydroelectric generator I did last week, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's move on to the news. Do we have any news music?
That's my typewriter, by the way. Go ahead, Ramon.
Sound like a broken typewriter. Okay, so ETs tell us why they cannot. All right, shut up, Tom. ETs tell us why they cannot openly land their spaceship. So this is a news article I found in Before It's News. I like this news page, Before It's News. They have a lot of woo-woo news that we like. The message below resonates as truth. Coming from a Marlon Raphaelis and the Arcturians, many humans remain impatient and will even discredit their own heavenly host assistants. So just read a little bit there for you guys.
Want me to run this out real quick, Ramon?
Yeah, go ahead.
Actually, a good article. Okay, I'll start from the top real quick. This message below resonates as truth, coming from a Marilyn Raphael and the Arcturians. Many humans remain impatient and will even discredit their own heavenly host assistants. If those beings do not do what they are told, or if these, if those beings do not do what they're told. Boy, this is rough. This is an example of why our star family do not land. It's all about free will. You cannot navigate free will and respect others' free will without heart. Without heart, humans are dangerous to self and each other. So focus on heart. Heart will empower you and others. Heart is the invitation to our star family to land. That moment is coming. Keep bringing it in. Now isn't the time for doubt. Now is the time to rise up in spirit with action. Release any need to judge the energies you do not resonate with, and all creation is an ever-changing mosaic, endlessly recreating itself. Align with your purpose in the flow. Mother Nature is reclaiming her body, etc., etc. This is actually some good stuff, guys. And there's some really the amazing, to-the-point stuff. It's all about the heart. I'm sorry, Ramon, for cutting in there.
No. Well, you read it better than I did.
I felt that there's some that I guess that message is really resonating with me right now, as far as it being the heart right now. I mean, bringing it back to that place.
Yeah. Here's another one. It's suppressed scientific evidence proves free energy source dating back 25,000 years. And guess what that source is? Of course, the pyramids. Monumental discovery with 4 years of comprehensive geoarchaeologist research has failed to reach mainstream audience for some reason. I wonder why. The most active pyramid site in the world, dating the pyramids complex back 25,000 years, has also released scientific evidence supporting the theory that the pyramids were used as an energy source. So I'll stop there and you guys can continue. It's something that we've discussed on the show several times, and actually we can ask our guests about
that's a good one.
Yeah, here's another one. It is funny because with this article here, I got into a heavy argument, not argument, but discussion with my cousin, who just didn't, just believed that this was head wrapping. Initial DNA analysis of Paracas elongated skulls released with incredible results. Paraca is a desert peninsula located with the Pisco province in Inca region on the south coast of Peru. It is here where Peruvian archaeologist Julio Tello made an amazing discovery in 1928. A massive and elaborate graveyard containing tombs filled with remains of individuals with the largest elongated skulls found anywhere in the world. These have come to known as the Paracas skulls. In total, Tello found more than 300 of these elongated skulls, which are believed to date back around 3,000 years. A DNA analysis has now been conducted on one of the skulls. An expert
Brian Forster.
That's Brian?
Yeah, that's Brian.
Strange spelling. Brian Foster has released preliminary information regarding these
enigmatic
skulls. Thank you for teaching me English there, Tom.
You're welcome, Mr. English teacher.
Okay, and I have one more. And this one, I think you guys will really enjoy. This one is how to heal your cavities naturally. And for some reason, that page is taking a long time. So basically, this one, the healing your cavities, is they just suggest how.
Want me to read the first paragraph here?
Yeah, because it's still not coming up.
World is slowly waking up to the fact that when you give the body what it needs, it can heal things we previously thought were impossible. A fine example of what is often deemed as an incurable health problem is dental cavities. But extensive research is now becoming more public about the true nature of tooth decay and the fact that there are proven remedies that can remedy it. The lies perpetrated about tooth decay, according to Medical Dental Association, the reason we have tooth decay is as follows. It occurs when food containing carbohydrates, sugars, and starches, such as milk, pop, raisins, cake, candy, are frequently left on the teeth. Bacteria that live in the mouth thrive on these foods, producing acids as a result. Over a period of time, these acids destroy the tooth enamel, resulting in tooth decay. There are few problems with this theory, including groups of indigenous people who have had fermentable carbohydrates stuck in their teeth all the time that did not brush or floss, were mostly or completely free of tooth decay. Bacteria do not consume processed sugar or flour because of the lack of nutrients in them. Ooh. Food that bacteria like to eat, such as milk, vegetables, meat, fish, and fruit, are not commonly implicated in causes of tooth decay. So, I mean, they're coming out with some amazing stuff with this. I found this actually a couple months ago, Ramon. This same thing about, not the same page, but.
And you didn't tell me?
No, I was gonna dazzle you with my shining smile one day and go, "Hey, looky me." Oh no, it's absolutely amazing, the human body and our potential. We have just scratched the surface on what we're able to do, not with just being smart about what we put in our body, but how we think about it too. So
yeah, it's actually quite interesting. So I've been started taking heavy magnesium again. It was one of the things they recommended, and coconut oil. I've been taking that for a while, so let's see what happens. So, Tom, who do we have?
Well, we have a returning guest tonight, and she actually
Brought her friend, I hope.
Yeah, she brought her friend too, I'm sure. She knocked her socks off a couple of times here, and the energy that this young lady puts out is just absolutely amazing, and she has really touched our hearts. I know that. We have Sondra Sneed with us tonight. Sondra is a recovering atheist. She met God in the basement of a rental house in Secaucus, New Jersey. I almost did it again. A voice from the eons wrote a message in her journal. Unemployed? It is my assertion that you are employed by me. This moment marked the first day of her year in solitude in 2004, during which she produced 10 spiral notebooks in dialogue with the creator of the universe. She kept these notebooks in secret for 8 years, until now. One writing session produced a 20-page narrative about the Adam and the Eve. This hour of dictation reveals a message so uncanny it solves a 4,000-year-old riddle as to why Eve was made from Adam's rib. Sondra says it is the first recorded use of adult stem cells, and the metaphor is not about Eve being Adam's helpmate, but instead Eve is God's helpmate. I will leave the rest of this bio to you guys to poke in and read yourselves, and I would also urge you to go back and listen to the other show that we did with Sondra here on 100thmonkeyradio.com website, and we did a live show with her over on the Truth Frequency Radio Network. So welcome back to the 100th Monkey, Sondra Sneed.
Hi, Tom. Hi, Ramon. Oh, I'm so thrilled to be here. You guys are awesome, and this is such a great show. Thank you for having me back.
Oh, we pay her to say that.
Oh, you're so welcome. You're so welcome. And for tonight, Sondra, at least in this first hour, I think we want to kind of, if God's willing to step in and the energy is right, I think we're going to want to do kind of a dual perspective. I'm going to want to ask Sondra's views on things, and then see if that transitioning in and out is not too much of a trouble. Anyways, if we can get the voice of God to chime in here also.
Yeah, definitely. Because, about 50% of the time, like most of us, I'm wrong. And, with my logic,
wrong.
I'm wrong. And then God will step in and tell me what the correct way of thinking about it is. And that's why I call God the Weisenheimer. On my website, I'm not trying to plug my website right here, but I have a...
You should.
Okay, well, if you go to my website, sondrasneed.com, sondrasneed.com. There, you can sign up for my Weisenheimer Wednesday. And I don't get it out every Wednesday, but what I do is from my book, I take difficult excerpts that need a little bit more explanation on them, and I use that as inspiration to have God then talk some more about any particular topic. And I call it the Weisenheimer Wednesday because to me God is a Weisenheimer, and if you look up the original definition, it means an annoying know-it-all, you know. So the great being of the universe knows all, and most of the time human logic is absolutely off and wrong. So it's always interesting to hear God's perspective of things.
Yeah. You know, there is a lot of baggage and presumptions and assumptions, I suppose, associated with the word God.
Yeah.
Could I get you to give us your perception and what you mean by when you say God, and what you see that being that is working through you, that channels through you? Who is that? What is that?
Well, I'll start out by saying that I'm not a channel because you can't channel God. The definition of channeling is when a spirit entity is literally, and I mean this literally, not figuratively, is sharing the body of the medium, and they are then either expressing themselves through the medium or they're sharing their experiences with the medium so the medium can then tell people what's happening by smells, by events that they're sharing in the mind of the entity that's sharing in the mind of the body of the medium. You can't do that with God. You would blow up in any attempt to do that. God is this great wave of being that moves throughout the entire universe and is in every cell of the universe. Every cell of the universe contains the light of God, and it need only be awakened for people to express their natural connection to God and their purpose, using the great power of the great being through them. But my favorite definition of what God is came from the Seth material, which was dictated through Jane Roberts in the 70s or 60s, I think. And it really sparked the New Age movement, the original New Age movement. And so here's what Seth taught. Okay, this absolute, ever-expanding, instantaneous psychic gestalt, which you call God, if you prefer, is so secure in its existence that it can constantly break itself down and rebuild itself. Its energy is so unbelievable that it does indeed form all universes, and because its energy is within and behind all universes, systems, and fields, it is indeed aware of each sparrow that falls, because it is each sparrow that falls.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh man, I just absolutely love Jane's work.
Yeah, me too. And God has just told me that, not just the second, but has told me that God is what God makes as God becomes. So essentially, God is evolution, the being that is evolution. Evolution is a being and becoming, a being and becoming, and that is what God is. And the God is what God makes as God becomes is very similar to what God told Moses. And I'm afraid I can't read Hebrew, so I would just totally kill the Hebrew in it. But Moses asked what God was, and God said, I am that I am. But the Hebrew also translates, I shall be that I shall be. So it's kind of that combination of I am and I shall be that's similar to what God told me. So
That all rolled into one.
yes, yeah.
You know, the funny thing, that's why I never understood the jealous God.
Right. No.
That's very what's the word, like psychotic
Human.
almost.
Yes.
Yeah, it just for me that would be then God has a multiple multiple personality disorder,
Well, what do you think we are,
schizophrenia.
Ron?
What was that, Tom?
I said,
Schiz-
well, what do you think we are? I mean, we are little schizophrenic aspects of the greater mind, right?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we are God talking to God's self. And it's only when God recognizes God's self that that energy spirit being can raise to the level of a higher being than the human brain. And I think there some of the it's kind of like, in the Bible, in the discussion of God being a jealous God, this was, and God will correct me if I'm wrong, the Hebrews had what was called midrash, and they would take the ancient scriptures from Moses and then they would embellish them in some way. They would try to interpret them in some way, and that's how the Bible, in many areas of the Bible, has become tainted by language, because you can't translate God-scribed languages unless you are a God scribe and understand the deeper meaning of the words, because the words should not be taken at face value. They have to have a 360-degree meaning, and most people take words in the Bible as a literal one-sided meaning.
Right. Yeah, that's well put. That's a good point to bring up here too. So, how does when God speaks through you? I don't know, comprehending how that brings itself into the limited space of a dialogue type expression, an individuality, or
Right.
I mean that one I have problems picturing, the guy sitting on the cloud type thing.
Right. And you have to eliminate that picture from your mind in order to be with it, be with the possibility. Because if you try to grasp it, it's like trying to fit the ocean into a cup. There's just no room in your brain
Right.
to hold that knowing. So you have to, just as a snake unhinges its jaws in order to swallow something so much larger than it is, you have to unhinge your mind and allow it to bring you up to its level rather than trying to bring it down into your human level.
Mm.
And so that's what transcendental meditation does. That's what transcendence means. You are bringing your awareness above and beyond that which, and into that which has no words. Yeah, sorry, go on.
I was gonna say that kind of reminds me of when you have certain experiences, either out of body experience or a dream, or in a meditation, or even if you drop like some acid or something like that. It seems like you get this understanding, and then when you come back, it's that understanding is all gone. It's like in the
Yes.
background, clouds fading away.
Yes, and it's only through repetition that your body begins to record this knowing, so your body becomes like a gramophone, taking sound vibration. What a gramophone did is it took sound vibration and then it recorded that vibration onto some kind of malleable medium. And your mind and your body and the memory cells throughout your entire body is that malleable medium that can record the great vibration of the being we call God. And that's only through repetition that the body starts to recognize what this vibration is, and therefore holds it in its knowing and its memory.
Like that. Ramon, anything on that before we head off into another spot here?
No, we can go right ahead.
Okay, well, Sondra, I would like to address this to both you and God, if you would, please. And I'd like to get a description of the way the physical universe is set up, as far as, I mean, because there's so many different views and perspectives on dimensions and different realities and astral planes and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
And I would just like to hear what your understanding is, and then if you would, if we could ask God that also.
Sure. My understanding is extremely limited, but the one thing that gave me kind of a click of understanding was I was talking to God one day. I was dusting and talking to God, and somehow there was an immediate download of understanding that the universe is a giant clock. It is the realm of time through the mechanism of the cycles of the universe. Okay, so with that said, I'd like to have God answer your question. And the question is, again, it's about the mechanisms of the universe, or the...
Right. I'd like to understand the way the dimensions and such are set up, from first dimension, second, third dimension, our existence here, the different, what is the astral plane, fourth dimension, fifth dimension, that type of thing, if that's the terminology that is most accurate.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So God says that the most accurate way of thinking about the mechanisms of the universe, which are the ways of dimension, is to imagine yourself going through an entirety of the material construct. So there is density levels. The density levels of material construct identify what level of overt attention you are able to give to any one dimension. So it's the attention you give to a dimension that determines where you are within the course of all of the universe. This location isn't the same as an address on Earth where your house is. The location is based on the time and the space that you occupy. In the space you occupy, there is a density of form. Right now, you're in the third dimension, so your density of form is most compact. When you arise into the formless way, which is the realm of God, the realm of spirit, you become far less dense and able to move through the density of matter on the third dimension. In this spirit dimension is 4 or 5 magnificent dimensions that you can travel into because of the density that you are not taking up. So when you move through the alternate realities that are the opposite of your three-dimensional way, meaning everything that is made must be concurrently unmade, there are people that you have been living simultaneous to your existence now in the what you experience as the now. When you lose your body, when it goes into the earth and you are raising your awareness of yourself into that alternate condensed form, then you will see your past, present, and future all at once. You don't necessarily remember it because there's no memory to hold. There's no brain matter. There is no body. There's no memory to hold it. It's something like cloud computing. So all of the information of the universe is contained within the collective, and you become a part of that collective, accessing data from the cloud universe. You pull it toward you, and the more you know of the intelligence that is the time and space of your being, the more you start to become that which you are destined to be. So you might wind up in a world far different from this earthly plane. You might wind up in what you would consider an alien world, because it's in your system of thinking that makes you want this experience. In your system of thinking, you want the experience of another set of constructs. So you might wind up in a fifth dimensional reality. Now, 5 dimensions is very difficult for a 3-dimensional being to understand. So we're not going to take the time to try to explain that. But what we would like to do is explain the 4th dimension. The 4th dimension is accessible for all 3rd-dimensional beings. The 3rd dimension is simply to hold memory. It holds memory and physical expression. When you unhinge from that 3rd dimension knowing of yourself, you raise your awareness to another level of yourself. It's a coexisting level. And in that coexisting level, you can travel anywhere in the universe, absolutely anywhere in the universe. You simply need to have an intention. When you set that intention into your mind and you unhinge the brain from your mind, then you go where you intend. This is the way of the wish. The way of the wish is a very sacred way. And when you learn how to hold your wishes sacred, then you move throughout the entirety of the universe, living and being among the beings who are the ones you wish to be among when you are in the wishing state from the 3rd dimensional plane. In so being, you cannot remember fully your experience. You will remember maybe glimpses and maybe some environmental experiences that give you sensation, and in that sensation there's a locked-in experience. But other than that, it's very difficult to come back to 3-dimensional realm knowing where you've been. So many people actually travel and never know they're traveling.
Interesting. Well, God, I would like to ask another question pertaining to the 4th dimension. What dangers, if any, could one face if they are a conscious journeyer within the 4th dimension, as far as somebody that is able to take the linear train of thought into and back out of that place?
That's an excellent question, because there is a danger that if you forget you are a body, you can be lost in the realms of time that have no body. And you would be in this perspective, meaning the world would see you as in a state of coma or comatose. Or you might even have the symptoms of being dead. But you aren't dead, you're just in another awareness of yourself. And if you suddenly remember you have a body, but your body has been put in the ground, and it has been decayed by the ground, then you can become attached to the grave. And this is what's happened to many, many souls in the time when there was no evidence of someone's brain and heart wave patterns. These wave patterns are now measurable, but there was a time in human history when they were not. And these souls that are trapped in graveyards most often have awoken in a grave, realizing that they are not dead when their body has decayed because they were buried.
So does this create a ghost scenario where a soul could be trapped, or
Yes.
do they have the ability to move on from there?
No, they cannot move on from there, because what has to happen for a spirit to move into where it belongs is that it has to forget the awareness of its earthly way. It has to forget that it is a three-dimensional form. It forgets only when it has forgiven. To forget means to forgive. And people often are unable to forgive when they are not giving themselves the benefit of the doubt of situations they feel that they're responsible for when they're not. So in the forgetting comes a raising of the mind, and in the raising of the mind comes a blessing to the heart, and the heart forgives itself for having done things in the life of the body that could be seen as dark, evil, or destructive.
Okay, another question on those beings that may be trapped due to waking up in the grave. Is there something that we can do from this state, the third dimensional state, to assist them in finding a way through, or an awareness of, or help out of?
Yes.
And is there any responsibility that we should bear for helping them to get out of their situation?
Absolutely. And both of those questions are answered in the affirmative, because it is the responsibility of human form to bring these souls that are trapped into a new awareness of themselves. Because they only know themselves as a body, they will not listen to the spirits who are trying to help them, because they cannot see these spirits as helping at all. They see them as gnats or flies. They see them as bugs. It's not easy for them to see them as pure being, pure light. When they look at the body of the living and they are in a state of fear that is of not knowing what they are, not knowing how they are in existence, and not knowing what they are to do, this fear becomes magnified. And that's why human beings are so afraid of these ghostly apparitions, because the fear is being resonated through the ghostly apparitions. It's only when human beings who are born mediums and born empaths that they start to walk their path, face that fear, and know that they are doing a great thing by helping these ghosts move on. That the beings who are born into this world specific for that role, the only way that they're going to be able to live out their purpose is to overcome the fear that's being resonated in these sometimes very beastly, ghostly apparitions.
So is there any one specific thing that would be something? So if I needed a tool, I wanted a tool in my tool pouch to go and help with these people, help these people free themselves, what would be the tool that I would be the most beneficial and most successful out there in doing that? Or when I say tool, that could be a thought or
Right.
A prayer.
a prayer, whatever it happens to be.
Right. The most valuable tool is the state of meditation, because when you're in the state of meditation, you are keeping your heart calm and you are also connecting to Source. Source gives you a guidance principle that is necessary when giving information to an apparition. The kind of information that you will bring to them is this: we are here to help you. You are in a state of confusion, and we want to take you to a place of peace. And in this place of peace, there is a calling. You are being called to arise. And in this arising, you will forgive all of the things you think you've done on earth. And you will also forgive those who have done you wrong. You may also wish to ask them what happened. What is it that they are holding on to? You may get a very upsetting story. It could be a story of rape, murder, dismemberment. It could be a story of someone who lost their entire family to Indians that were invading a village. It could be a story where someone simply fell off a mountain and didn't realize that that's where they are. They just woke up dead, so to speak. So you are going to hear these stories in this state of meditation. You're going to hear these magnificent stories of these lives, and then you are going to guide them into the light of peace by saying, this is not who you are anymore. This is a past long gone. You need not hold on to this past, and if you hold on to this past any longer, it will annihilate your soul, and you will not be able to pass anywhere except into the darkness, and we know that's not where you want to be. So when you talk in that calm, sweet, surrendering voice, they learn to mimic you in a mirroring effect. You become the purposeful mirror as opposed to the reactive mirror. A reactive mirror would feel their fear and then reflect that fear back to them. A responsible, purposeful mirror makes the assertion that it is the perfect being that is God, that is holding out the hand of the human, that is bringing this awareness to the apparition.
Ramon?
No, that that makes a lot of sense because of I've experienced that before during my meditation where I kind of sense there's some beings around, and I would tell them, go into the light, but then they'd be like, I don't want to go to the light, and I would just get upset and tell them, well, get out.
This is Sondra laughing. I'm sorry, because it's not really funny, but it's a disturbing funny. So I'm going to go into that with God for a second, but I also want to tell a similar story. I was my husband, his teenage son, and I were out shooting on a weekend, and there was a fire. We had a fire going, and we were cooking by the fire. And Cody and my husband went in the house in the cabin for a minute to do something. And I was just meditating on the fire. It was just this beautiful, warm, peaceful feeling. And all of a sudden, God says to me, Cody's mother is here. She wants to tell you something. She wants to tell you that she's sorry that she's made you a full-time mother, because she had passed on. Obviously, you can tell from this story that she had passed on and she's now in spirit. But that was the first time I had ever... I'm not a medium. I'm absolutely not a medium. It scares me too much. But the people who are mediums, I absolutely respect that. And Ramon, if you're a medium, then, this is definitely your show to learn from, because if you have that capability to sense other beings and they're talking to you and they don't want to go into the light, then you become the counselor, showing them the way by hearing their story. Their problem is probably that they're stuck here because no one knows their story and they need it to be told.
Yeah, it's only, for me, it's only when I'm in altered state, either in meditative or between sleep and awake.
Well, that's just a calling to you. That's just your inner being calling to you, saying, this is what you were born to do. So I'm going to have God talk to you about that. So God says, absolutely, this is what you were born to do, Ramon. And the only reason we didn't bring this up before in a reading is because we wanted you to acknowledge the experiences that you're having first, so that we can then guide you into the knowing that this is what you were born to do. You were born to take on the system of the energies that are trapped on earth and move them into the light. But you have to first master this. And it is a mastering of this that's going to give you the ability to go beyond just a meditative state to sense these beings there. But right now you're being called to do it.
Makes sense.
Ramon, what was the reading that God gave you earlier? Oh, I remember. It was about your ability to see.
To worry about other people.
Concern.
Not worry.
Yes.
Yeah, concern.
Concern. So I see how those two are married. Yes, I do see how those two are married. Because it's your concern for the well-being of these ghostly apparitions that is going to help you guide them into a counseling session. Very cool.
Hey, English teacher and a counselor.
English teacher by day.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh God, should I get a
Ghostbuster by night.
should I get a cool outfit, like a cape?
Yeah, I want pictures.
I was picturing silver lame, and silver lame that sparkles in the light. That's definitely me.
No, it definitely looked like I'm in Tokyo, like Harajuku.
Oh, you'd fit right in at the clubs, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Oh, so something that God mentioned a couple of minutes ago when we were talking about those trapped beings is the going down into darkness, or going, I can't remember the term. I think that's the term that was used. Yeah. So I guess the question I have here is that, is there absolutes like that as far as the complete darkness, or is there, everybody talks about, we are eternal beings that no matter what, in the end, it's going to be okay. But is there a place that where a being can be and is, I guess, uncreated?
Yes. But what's happening is the individual is knowing itself as something less than it is. So just as God separated night from day, light from dark, and God became all that was good, and God was God's self in that which is good, that which is dark is contained within God. So it's not like they are separated from God. They simply know themselves as darkness. And it's only in the knowing yourself as not dark that you can rise out of that. But when a soul is annihilated through centuries upon centuries of self-infliction, then what happens is the entity cannot move. It cannot move into another way of knowing itself and another way of being, and it also cannot be saved. It cannot be taken into the light because it will not recognize light as what it is. And it's only when you recognize something as being what you are that you can then become it. It's only in the state of moving into becoming that this recognition can occur, and the soul that is annihilating cannot reach a state of becoming. It is simply being, and always will be being in the dark. And it becomes what God calls the void of the forlorn. The void of the forlorn is a cauldron of dark souls that are so trapped there's no way for them to be released. The only way at all that anyone can be released from the void of the forlorn is if there is a brave soul, brave enough to go into that void and bring them out. They have to know the individual who is trapped. They have to be able to call to that individual in the mind of their being. And in the mind of their being, there must also be light that can hold them across the void so that they don't fall into the void. It's like when you're around somebody who's very depressed. It's very difficult to not get depressed yourself if you've had any experience with depression. Any period of time around someone who is deeply depressed, you will feel the energy of that depression and it can suck you in. If you have a strong refuge that is your sacred place holding you above depression, then you can help the depressed individual. But if you don't, it's two depressed people becoming deeper and deeper into their way of depression.
Right. So that sounds like the movie with Robin Williams, What Dreams May Come, I think it's called.
Yeah, that's what I was picturing too.
That kind of reminds me of certain rituals I've heard of and know of, where, for example, I've heard that before, where you can, it's worded different, but go into hell, grab the loved one, and bring them out. Is where you, for example, the person going in there, they would go in an astral body, and they would go to pick up that person, and then there's like people on the outside who are still awake who become their anchor, and all they're doing is consistently pouring positive energy into this person and also reminding them of who they are, so they won't forget and stay there.
Absolutely. This is exactly what we're talking about. Now, there's one other story Sondra wants to tell you, and it has to do with the isolation that occurs when the individual soul is crossing over the void. There is an isolation of that individual where they cannot be held by any other light being. So there's a gap, so to speak. There is a gap between the light anchor and the crossing over. I'm fighting with God on this word because it doesn't make sense to me, crossing over. God says it is crossing over the void. It is a bridge on the void. It is not going down deep into the dense material construct of the void. It is over the top in the lightest density. And it is also a matter of being extremely vulnerable at that place. Okay. So now God's giving me the permission to tell this story. So this woman I was doing a reading for, she God told her just straight up, without her even saying anything yet, that she's being haunted by the man who was her father, and that she must get him out of her, out of her being. He's haunting her, and through this hour of explanation to her of what happened, she came into this earth not as someone who is, had a previous lifetime, then spent some time as in a soul group, and then reincarnated to expand their spiritual awareness. She was stolen when she was what God called the stand-in, in the stand-in state. And it's when a soul is in the realm of God, and they are reaching over the dark void. Their arms are out fully. They have to be in full surrender of giving. So if you can picture trapeze artists, two trapeze artists, one holds their arms out to catch the other one, right? That's what the stand-in soul does, but they have to do it in such a complete act of surrender that they become vulnerable to an attack of a dark soul that can trap their energy and use it to continue living on earth as a trapped soul. This is difficult to explain because dark souls, or people, human beings who are trapped in discarnate form, have to use the energy of other beings in order to maintain being what appears to be alive. Do you know what I'm saying?
So for them to have the perception of them having life,
yes,
you have to actually vampire off of the lips.
Yes. Sorry, I hope that wasn't too
A
loud.
succubus.
Yes, it's that. Well, it's that act, but they themselves are not a succubus. They are a vampire. Okay, so it's a vampire existence, because the one that is draining the energy of the other souls becomes the master, and they become the slaves. They are enslaved by this more powerful soul eater. And this is the kind of soul that stole her from when she was in the stand-in state, and she ran from it into the realm of 3 dimensions. And then she forgot all about that. She's just been plagued by, a father that was horrible to her, and just a life of just complete and utter ruin. But then now that that's been explained to her, that she was never meant to be down here, she has no souls that are your soulmates that are supposed to help you in this life. There are no soulmates helping her in the 3-dimensional realm. She's totally alone.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that void, that kind of reminds me of the passage, like the Valley of Death,
Or the river Styx.
Yeah.
These are similar in thought, but they aren't the same thing. The river of I don't know this story, so God's going to be saying things that I'm probably going to get the wrong image in my mind. So God says, the river of Styx is an ancient form of way, meaning the way that one moves from one dimension to another. This is not the same as the Valley of Death. The Valley of Death is when an individual is in such a state of forlornness themselves that they then awaken to the being that is God, that is moving them out of that state. But then they have episodes where they have to move themselves out of that state. And they do that by remembering that the being that they call God, that is their maker, is going to move them out of that fear. So it's like a poem. The Valley of the Shadow of Death is a poem that says, there is no such thing as death, but in my mind, I fear dying.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So we have burned up this first hour already. Can you believe that?
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. So
We didn't get to the questions about the pyramids and
we have another hour.
Oh, yeah.
woohoo.
Yeah, so we will definitely get there. And Sondra, for our first hour listeners, where can they reach you? And you do private sessions, and what else have you got on the board?
Well, if you go to sondrasneed.com, you can schedule your own reading. It can be a Skype reading. It can be a phone reading. If you live in Houston, it can be a reading. If you live within traveling distance or are willing to pay my travel, I can also go to do group readings, which I've done a couple now. And those are fascinating, doing group readings where you're in a room doing individual purposes. Everybody has their own individual purpose. And to see a room of souls is, wow, it's just amazing, 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 profound experience. And then I also do events where I can show up at your event and do group readings that way as well. But go to sondrasneed.com. And the scheduler is down at the bottom of my website. Just click on Schedule Me. And also, you can get a free download if you sign up for my Weisenheimer Wednesday. And the download is the 5 principles for quieting your mind and listening to your higher self.
Awesome.
Also, if you can teleport, that's probably the cheapest way.
Yes. Thanks to
Teleport over
Skype,
to-
there is a little of that.
Right. All right. Well, I want to thank everybody for listening to this first segment. And if you are not a member yet, I would urge you to pop on over to the 100thmonkeyradio.com and become a monkey and help support Ramon and I in everything that we are doing here with the show. So
Yes.
Become a member. Become a member.
Also, I just want to give you guys. We'll be talking about the next hour, the pyramids, Middle Earth, or better known as Agartha or Hollow Earth, however you want to call it. And what else time was it?
well, that'll be a good chunk to get started with. I'm sure there's a lot more that'll come out.
Yeah, I just want to give them a little teaser.
Oh yeah, well, we still wanted to go into the sentient hierarchy some, as far as angels, guides, whatever we want to call them, archangels, all those things. So, anyways, we will talk to you guys on the other side. Ramon, what's this music taking us out?
This is Blaze featuring Garrido, Stand for Love. It's one of my favorites. Little New York house for you.
Fantastic. Condemnation without investigation is the height of ignorance.
The love you deny is the pain you carry.
See you guys on the other side.
Solve the problems that divide the world of black and white. In the racism, we've got to fight those.